are watching the Poor Boys Horology podcast, the podcast for watch enthusiasts on a budget. Your host for today's podcast is Dr. Ed DeVries, an amateur horologist whose personal collection includes Timex, Rolex, and everything in between. If you are interested in dive watches, dress watches, designer watches, military watches, automatic watches, hand-winding watches, quartz watches, or pocket watches, the Poor Boys Horology podcast is about to become your favorite podcast. So click like and subscribe. Then sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of the Poor Boys Horology podcast.
This month's Poor Boys Horology podcast is probably going to be recorded in any of a number of segments. In this first one today I'm recording, it's Friday, May 7th, 2021, and I'm wearing my William L. 1985, the watch that I reviewed in the April Poor Boys Horology podcast. I've had it on my wrist now for exactly 1 month, and let me just say, I love it. Look at that screenshot there. I've got my William L up next to my iMac. You'll see that they're still showing the same time. I set this watch 1 month ago. I used my Mac to set the watch, put it on my wrist. 1 month later, it's still telling the same time. What does that mean? That means that the William L 1985 watch, at least this one that I have on my wrist, is telling time with near chronometer accuracy. I have Rolexes, friends, that don't keep as accurate of time as this one does. I have a Swiss RW Romer watch that doesn't keep anywhere near as accurate a time as this one does. This watch here, it has a Seiko NH35 movement within it. I don't know how many other watches I have that have the Seiko NH35 movement that do not keep this accurate of time. In fact, most of my Seikos or INVICTAs or watches that have a Seiko movement within them, they normally run 2 to 3 minutes fast or slow any given week, depending on the watch. This one is keeping near chronometer time. Now, the Seiko NH35 movement is capable of keeping very accurate time. Obviously, this one is, when it is calibrated. And so it's possible that I got lucky, but more than likely what we're seeing is the fact that the William L people take the time to calibrate each movement before it leaves their factory. If Seiko would calibrate their movements, they would be keeping excellent time. If INVICTA would calibrate the movements before they left the factory, they would be keeping excellent time. Anyways, I just wanted to let you know that this watch is keeping great time. And so my review after 1 month, very positive. You'll see the strap there. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't. The bottom of the strap, the leather strap, is darker. The top is lighter. And I don't know why that is. Maybe it has something to do with the way the oils are coming into contact. My skin oil is coming into contact with the leather. I really don't know. But the band is darkening. If you look at the pictures from the April podcast when this was a new watch, the leather was very, very light. In fact, you see how light that is there. The other side, this side, was just as light as that side when I put the watch on. And now it's darkening up again, I'm guessing just because of oils in the skin and different things. But actually, the watch gets some character. That's what gives the leather character. And it makes it look better. And so that is a good thing. It's just a little uneven in how it's doing, and I'm sure at some point that'll begin to even out. It's kind of like when you have a bronze watch in the patina. You know, it's not totally consistent, but again, eventually you end up with something that you're very happy with, and each piece, of course, ages, if you want to use that term, uniquely. I have not been diving in this watch. It is a dive watch. I have not been diving in it, but I can say I've been kayaking in it several times now, and it has gotten thoroughly wet and thoroughly splashed. I can also say that on a couple occasions I forgot to take it off before I jumped in the shower. I normally do not shower with watches that have leather straps. I normally only shower in watches that have cloth, plastic, or metal straps. But I accidentally jumped in the shower a couple times, and so it got splashed thoroughly, and it held up just fine. This watch could take a licking and keep on ticking. It's a great watch. I've done some yard work in it. I've done some other things in it that I probably should have taken it off for. And so this is a durable watch. It's a watch that could hold up. It's a watch that could be your beater watch. But given its $300 price tag, you probably don't want to beat it around too much. That said, it was a great gift from my wife. I love it a lot. And after 30 days on the wrist, great reviews, a thumbs up on the William L. 1985. By the way, give our video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We're going to have a brief word from our sponsor over at TBR Magazine, and then we'll be back with the rest of the Poor Boys Horology podcast. I have several watches to review for you. Have had several watches come in the mail this month, so stay tuned. It's going to be an action-packed, exciting, fast-paced broadcast.
Browser and type in www.barnesreview.org and discover the Barnes Review magazine. In the Barnes Review, you will read vignettes of man, from the prehistoric to the very recent, from forgotten races and civilizations to first-person accounts of World War II and the late Cold War. There is no more interesting magazine published today, nor a more significant and important subject than real history. So visit www.barnesreview.org and subscribe to the Barnes Review. You can subscribe to receive the Barnes Review magazine in its print form, or in convenient electronic delivery. Our host has been a subscriber to both formats for years. So visit www.barnesreview.org and subscribe to the Barnes Review.
One of our viewers, Davis B., had asked me if I would review a Tudor Black Bay. And I emailed him back and I said I'd be happy to. And then he emailed me back again and he said, well, there's one little catch. He said, I'm going to have a Black Bay mailed to you, but it's going to be a replica Black Bay. It's not going to be a genuine Black Bay. Would you still be willing to review it and then mail the watch to me? And I said, sure, I'd be happy to do that. And so he gave me the tracking number, and I was waiting. Waited for several weeks, and finally the package arrived from China. And what did we receive? A fake IIK quartz piece of SHI. Yeah, you know how to finish it. Looks nothing like a Tudor Black Bay. Listen to that crappy bezel. Listen to all that rattle. It's a quartz movement. It has a date window that you can't even read. There's a magnifying bubble on it that doesn't magnify at all. I mean, I didn't even bother to take the plastic off of this thing. Anyways, it's an absolute piece of junk. Didn't bother to take the little plastic thing off there so that the quartz movement would actually start to run. This is just a piece of junk. And so Dave is waiting for his credit card company to tell me where to mail this fake IIK piece of Chinese $3 garbage. This watch isn't even worth what it cost to ship it to the United States from China. But anyways, talk about a disappointment. But hopefully, here in the next few days, we'll have something coming in, because I've been told that another watch is on its way to me. And hopefully it will be what was ordered, and I'll be able to review a replica Black Bay. But until then, we're going to move to another segment of our show, and that is a new segment that we introduced a couple of months ago that our viewers are loving, and I'm getting a lot of positive feedback about it. And it's our nostalgia segment, where I show the television commercials from the cars that I owned way back when. We showed the commercials for my first two cars, the first one being a Ford Maverick, the second one being a 1982 Chevy Chevette. And Daisy Duke was driving the Chevette in that commercial. Boy, she sure made that car look sexy. Not quite as sexy as the General Lee. But be that as it may, my third car was a 1986 Chevrolet Caprice Classic Brougham. And this was the car that I drove my senior year of high school and into my freshman year of college and into my sophomore year of college just a little bit. And I love this car. This car was given to me. And that was a blessing. The car was 3 years old when it was given to me. And it was given to me by a girl that I was dating. It was given to me by her dad. It was actually her mother's car. And they were going to be moving to West Virginia. Her dad was getting a job in West Virginia. And of course, they had just bought a brand new car. And then the company her dad was going to work for was going to lease him a car. And so her mother was going to drive their brand new car that the dad was commuting back and forth to work in. That was going to become her everyday driver. Her dad, of course, would drive the company car. And then they wouldn't need this Caprice Classic. And the Caprice Classic, you talk about a blessing. They had a 36-month loan on it, and it literally had like one payment to go. And her dad even made that payment for me. And man, what a blessing. My grandfather's 1986 Cadillac was not as nice as my 1986 Chevy Caprice Classic Brougham. And so here's that commercial.
Boy, Chevy dealers really got it made this year. You want a full-size car? The Chevy Caprice Brougham is the last of the good big ones. Yesterday, I delivered Buick LeSabres and Olds 88s, and those cars are now a foot shorter and 400 pounds lighter. The thing I can't figure out is how this baby can cost $2,000 less than the smaller Buick and Olds. Can you?
Chevy Caprice at your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer. If anybody can move you, Chevy can.
While other full-size automobiles are shrinking, there remains an uncompromised American classic. Today's Chevrolet Caprice Classic Brougham. Uncompromised V8 performance. Uncompromised smooth and quiet ride. Uncompromised room and luxury. Caprice Classic. Not the most expensive luxury car, but the most preferred. Accept no substitute. Drive today's Chevy, live today's Chevy. Caprice Classic.
All right, well, let's go into this unboxing here, and we've got a box here, and it was mailed from China. You can see that there. And then they changed it to, when it got to New York there, they put a USPS on it. So it used to be that China Post would deliver things directly to you. Now that does not seem to be the case. And so let's open this up here, see what we've got. It should be a replica watch of a Tudor Black Bay, and so let's see what we've got here. Open it up, discard this cardboard box here, and we've got some bubble wrap wrapped around a yellow box here. Discard the bubble wrap. I will say that this is a lot better wrapped than the last few boxes I've seen come from China. And inside there is a wood box. Discard the yellow box. A wood box, and it says Tudor on it, and that Tudor is covered in a protective plastic. And you open it up, and it's got a little pillow there. This is obviously not a good replica of a Tudor box. But let me say this, it's a lot nicer than I would have thought this would be packaged in. And this is not an unnice box. In other words, if this were a Seiko in this box, or an Orient, or any of a number of other watch brands, I would say, wow, this is a very nice box. I somehow think that a Tudor box is probably nicer than this. But that said, I mean, this is a nice box, and then here is the watch itself, and it's on a black leather band. We've got a signed clasp there. We have what is supposed to be a bronze Black Bay, and it's got the black bezel. That bezel is that bezel's got not a whole lot of back play. It's not a bad bezel. Let's see if it'll line up here. It doesn't quite line up. It almost lines up. Click that again. And of course, we're not lining up here at the 3. We are lining up at the 9. Got the snowflake hands. It's a beautiful dial, although I will say that the writing could be a little darker. And I'm also disappointed in the fact that this clasp is not bronze. The leather is obviously not leather. What do I think of the quality of this replica? I do not know yet. I will do a actual review of this a little bit later. It did, just the movement of the watch did start it to going. So let's see if I can't. There's a little blue thing here that I'm going to have to get off there. There's a signed crown. Maybe you can see the signature under there. There's a little black or blue plastic there. A lot of play in this bezel. Not impressed with the bezel at all. We'll unscrew the crown here. Okay, I can feel the date flipping there. So there is a ghost position here, and there is a date wheel underneath that. We'll go ahead, let's see, it's 521 on my computer here. So let me go ahead and set this to 521. Push that in. It does wind smoothly. And it does screw in nicely. In other words, a lot of times replicas, they screw in hard, they unscrew hard, they wind rough. This is a smooth set, a smooth everything there, smooth crown. It's a good looking watch. Like I said, they did not pay attention to detail because this should be bronze on a bronze replica. But other than that, I would say it's a good looking watch in a lot of ways, but far from a perfect replica. And the writing could be a little clearer on that dial. But as far as how well it's going to keep time, we're about to find that out. I'm going to monitor this for the next several days, and maybe we will do a more proper review at that. Extra, read all about it. If you're like me, and I'll bet you are, you like to be on the cutting edge of honest news and accurate information. 26 times a year, the American Free Press newspaper can be delivered to your door, packed with the kind of uncensored news that I know you're going to appreciate. If you're ever dissatisfied with your subscription to the American Free Press, their guarantee is that you just drop them an email and they will gladly refund the unused portion of your subscription. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.americanfreepress.net. Once again, www.americanfreepress.net. And find out about the American Free Press. Do it today. Extra, extra, read all about it. Today is Thursday, May 13th, 2021, and yesterday we filmed the unboxing of this watch here, and it is a Tudor Black Bay, or it is an imitation, it is a replica of a Tudor Black Bay that came from China. We did the unboxing. It's been on my wrist for not quite 24 hours, and it is keeping time. And it's doing a good job of that. It's been an okay watch to wear. Anyways, we will look at this watch again later. But the mailman struck again today, and we have 2 more watches to open here. And so I'm going to unbox this one first. I believe this will be a smartwatch, and I have not been a fan of smartwatches. Those who watch my channel and watch my podcast know I'm never going to do the smartwatch thing. I bought one for my wife however many years ago, and she wore it just a couple of times, and it sat in her jewelry box ever since. Anyways, this is an XS7, and this is have my William L. there. But this is a watch that is a clone, if you will, of the Apple Watch. And so let's see here. We take the box off, and inside we've got this loosely packed here. This is the watch, as you can see. And then we've got this strap here. We'll take this strap off here. And this is a protective case that's on it. But if you look at this watch here, you see you've got your crown here. You've got your button here, just like the Apple. You have your speakers right there, just like the Apple. This watch looks exactly like an Apple Watch. And I believe these are 44 millimeter straps here. And actually this one goes on top. And they just slide right in there. And I am told that this strap here can be interchanged, and that you can put any Apple Watch strap here into the X7 smartwatch. And so this is a true Apple clone, or at least it's supposed to be. We will power it on in another video. Let's go ahead and take this out here. And we got another little piece here. We've got the instruction manual. It's in Chinese. Open it up, it's still in Chinese. So we'll just have to figure this one out. We've got a little charger here. There's a little, you see the little tabs there. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this into a USB here in a little bit. And we'll charge it up, and I'll use it for a day or two, and then I will review it. But that is our first unboxing. For our second unboxing, we have a package here, and I will review this watch at length on another day. I just want to unbox it today and see what is in here. As we've been unboxing Black Bays, and we've been looking at replica Black Bays, and this is not a replica. This is a watch mod. It was done by a gentleman in Massachusetts who is a viewer of our channel, and he knew I was wanting to do a Black Bay review, and so he made this. This is a beautiful watch, and it's running, so obviously the movement must have got it going. It's on a genuine leather band here, at least it says genuine leather. It has a red bezel, but it's not the coin-edged bezel. That's okay. It that used to say Invicta, but he ground that down and he polished it there a little bit. And got that looking good. You can see just a little bit of a imperfection there, but overall he did a really good job with that. And you see he's got the snowflake hands. He's basically done a Black Bay impersonation here. This bezel is it's a little tight, but it's a good bezel, good action in the bezel. I'm happy with this bezel. He did a really good job putting this bezel on. And does have the signed Invicta crown. That's that, and on the back here you can see the NH35 movement with the Invicta signature. Other than that, you would not know that this was an Invicta. You would think at a distance it kind of looks like a Black Bay. Not exactly, but this is a homage. This is a mod. This is a mod of an Invicta to make it look like a Black Bay. And he did a really good job with that. And when I review the watch, assuming that the watch holds up to positive review, I'll tell you how to get a hold of the gentleman who did this, and you'll be able to maybe order a mod from him. He's modded other watches as well. So anyways, those are our unboxings for today. Phone with our good friend Clint Lacey. So your newest project is you've started a publishing company, Foothills Media, and you'll be publishing 3 tremendous books. The first of those is your book, The Beginner's Guide to False Flags. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about that book?
If you were wondering how we ended up at this point in our history and everything's going on, Beginner's Guide to False Flag takes you from the beginning of the country until the election of Donald Trump, Charlottesville, the rise of the communists, and the Russian collusion hoax. The rape of Delaware County is a story in which a United States veteran defended himself against a known drug felon, only to find out that the local police were in on it. Crooked prosecutors, and one of those prosecutors was actually arrested coming back from an island in the Caribbean in a murder for hire plot. And it just details just how corrupt one small county can be. And in the book, I said that Delaware County, Oklahoma, in the past was a safe haven for outlaws from Missouri and Arkansas And what the reader will find out, it still is. Blood in the Ozarks, expanded second edition, 156-year-old government cover-up in which out of control Union officer led his men to murder men, women, and children at a Christmas gathering in the Missouri Ozarks. I found it Foothills Media in 2019 because I'm dedicated to bringing you the truth.
Thank you, Clint. I know that our listeners are going to want to check out Foothills Media, so tell them how they can do so.
Well, you can visit us at foothillsmedia.net, and that will take you to our website where you can browse the books, read our blog posts, and catch up on news that you won't find anywhere else in the mainstream media. foothillsmedia.net.
Today is May 18th, 2021, and the mailman has struck yet again. I'll admit I did rip this thing open at the post office just to make sure what I thought was in it was in it. But otherwise, this is an unboxing, and you can see that this is the box that they used to ship me a Timex Marlin, which you can see here is this box right here. And so, quite an extensive packaging for this Marlin. And let me see if I can't take this bubble wrap off here. And then we've got the outer box, the white outer box. Let's see here. It just says Movement China, Strap China, and a barcode, and a price of $199. And then we've got the Timex box. You can see the words Timex there. And on the back, there's a little label. And it says Timex Group. And we'll open this up. And again, we've got a box within a box that again says Timex. Box here. We will open that up. And there you find the Timex Marlin. See if we can get a close-up here to show you the dial of the Timex Marlin. This is a modern reissue of the Timex Marlin. I will review this probably on next month's Poor Boys Horology podcast, but we've done so many other unboxings here in the month of May, I figured that I would include this unboxing as well. So look forward to putting this Marlin on my wrist, and look forward to wearing it and doing a review of the modern reissue Timex Marlin. Today is Tuesday, May 25th, and let me do a quick wristwatch check. I am wearing the Timex Marlin reissue that you just saw unboxed in the previous segment. And so the watch is on my wrist. I'm not prepared to do a review of it today. I want to give it just a little more wrist time before I do a review. But what I want to do on today's show is I want to do a review of two watches. And those are the watches that were previously unboxed, those being the Tudor Black Bay replica as well as the Tudor Black Bay homage that was the modded INVICTA. One of our big sponsors here on the Poor Boys Horology podcast is TBR Magazine, the Barnes Review magazine, and one of the contributing editors at the Barnes Review is my good friend Harold Scharnhorst, Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. Harold is someone who I have enjoyed interviewing several times on both of my radio shows, and you know, if this weren't a horology podcast, I would interview him right here on this show as well. But Harold had a tremendous story to tell. When he was a little boy, his dad basically raised the army that repelled the Nazi invasion of Norway during the Second World War. And so Harold grew up with a dad who was basically the commander of the Norwegian Armed Forces. He was the leader of the Norwegian Underground. And then when the war was over, Harold and his family immigrated here to the United States. And Harold ended up enlisting in the United States Army. He ended up working some very interesting jobs. Currently, he is a professional photographer, writer, and broadcaster living in the state of Idaho. And he took all of his story and he wrote it down in a 470-page book. And this 470-page book has over 300 photographs. And the book is called An Immigrant Remembers. Harold sent me a copy of this book about 2 years ago, and I read it, and the story was fascinating. I could not put it down. An Immigrant Remembers. And you'll want to get your hands on this book. You really will. And you can do so. Of course, you see it on the screen, the cover of An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. And you can go to Harold's blog, www.halsharnblog.blogspot.com. That's www.halsharnblog.blogspot.com. That's up on your screen right now. You can email Harold homefrontbooks@alpinemontana.com, or you could go to Harold's Facebook page. Again, all of these contact informations are on your screen, or just mail $30 to Homefront Publishing, P.O. Box 55, Moyie Springs, Idaho 83845. Again, it's on your screen. You want to read this tremendous dynamic book, An Immigrant Remembers. It was a story that as I was reading this book, I just couldn't put it down. And you won't be able to put it down either. And so you'll want to read this great story, An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. Go back, hit rewind, hit pause, so that you can get your hands on this contact information and order a copy of this great book, An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. And so let's first talk about this watch here. You see I've put a different strap on it, but this is the Tudor Black Bay. This is the homage watch, or actually I'm not called a homage watch. I'll call it what it is. It's a fake Tudor Black Bay. It's a replica watch, and if you look at this here, it's supposed to be the brass bay. You can see there it's got the signed crown. I've managed to get that blue sticker off of it. But you've got your signed crown there, and then you can see it here. The lighting is reflecting off it, but you can barely read that because the lighting or the writing on this dial is very weak. It's very light. I also want you to look at the brass here, and I want you to see that there's absolutely no patina whatsoever. And so I don't know what this is made of. I have heard different reviews. And some of the reviews that I've read online, they say that these are brass plated, or bronze plated, or brass plated. Others say that the cases are made out of bronze or brass. I don't know what the case is with this here. I know that it's not patinaing. It's also not discoloring in any way. It still has a good look to it after over a week on the wrist. But I'm not seeing, again, any patina. So I don't think it's a real brass. I don't think it's a real bronze. If you'll remember in the unboxing, it came with this fake plastic imitation leather signed butterfly deployment clasp and strap. And it was a gold-colored, bronze-colored watch with a stainless steel clasp. So, whoever made this replica didn't even bother to pay attention to that detail. So the strap that I have put on it here is a black rubber strap that belongs actually to a Citizen watch, and but it's an unbranded. It was an unbranded strap here. So you see here the curved ends on the rubber strap. So it looks really nice with this watch. It gives this watch a really nice look. So Davis B is going to be real happy when he gets this back. This strap is going to be my gift to you, Davis. I'll send you the original strap and clasp as well. But this will be my gift to you, just, thanking you for entrusting our channel with getting to review this watch for you, and even actually getting to receive it before you received the watch. Now, to talk about the watch itself, the case, I like the color of the case. I like the contrast of the black with the gold. The signed crown looks nice. Everything about this watch looks good. The lume on this watch, at night I go to bed, I look at my wrist, and I can tell the time. The lume is bright. At 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, I wake up, I look at my wrist, the lume is still bright enough that I can tell the time. A lot of cheap Chinese watches, even a lot of like Invictas and other watches that you pay a little bit of money for, they just don't have that quality of lume, and this watch does. So I want to commend whoever made this watch for that. Time. I'm looking at my clock here. It says 3:04. I'm looking at my watch here. It says 3:04. After over a week on the wrist, the watch is keeping good time. It's keeping chronometer quality time. I'm told, and I've not taken the case back off to see what is inside there, but I'm told that this watch has a seagull movement. It has a high-end seagull movement. That's what I'm told. That's what I read on DHgate, which is apparently where this watch was ordered from. I'm going to assume that's probably true because the watch is keeping excellent time. There was a reason that I wanted to keep this watch on the wrist for over a week before I did the review, and that is because when you buy a lot of Chinese watches, they'll run for maybe 18 hours, 20 hours, 24 hours. Usually they crap out within 36 hours if they're going to crap out. And the reason for that is because there is little particles of dust or maybe little particles of metal shavings, or there's some contaminant that gets up inside here because the watch was not assembled in a sterile environment. And so what happens is the watch runs until that little particle gets to just the right place in the gears of the watch, then it stops everything. But of course, when you rewind the watch, when you reset the watch, you move the little particle, and so your watch will run again for about the same period of time, and then again the watch stops basically every time that particle gets to the certain place. And so I'm going to guess that this watch is clean inside because it's ran on my wrist for over a week and it hasn't stopped, and it's keeping near perfect time. So, as far as watches go. Now, as far as replicas go, this thing sucks. The dial, the printing on the dial is too faint. You can barely read it. The material is not the right material. It's supposed to be brass or bronze. It is obviously not. They couldn't even get the detail right. They couldn't even put the right clasp with the right watch. So whoever made this as a replica, they just didn't pay any attention to detail. As a replica, this watch sucks. But as a watch, this is really a nice piece. The case looks good. The black and the gold contrast well. The watch is keeping near perfect time. When you unwind the crown, it's a smooth unwind. It's a smooth unscrewing of the crown. You do have the ghost position there for the date. That bothers some people when they review a watch. That does not bother me because I don't like date complications to begin with. But hey, if I got a good movement, I got a good movement. It obviously hacks. And now I'm going to screw this back in. And it's smooth. A lot of times you buy Chinese watches, not just replicas, but just cheap Chinese watches. And unscrewing the crown is rough. You can hear the gears grinding when you're winding the watch or when you're setting the watch. That is not the case with this piece. And so as far as a watch goes, this is an excellent, high quality. It's a good watch. If whoever makes this watch would make it with a sterile dial, or maybe if they put their own brand on it like Pagani Design or something, I would give this watch a 5-star review, and I would tell you to buy it at about the $100 price point. I would say it's worth every penny. $120, I'd say it's worth every penny. I would say I like this watch better than an Invicta, for example. But as a fake watch, is a replica watch. No, it was not worth the $160 that Davis B paid for it on dhgate.com. That's just, again, my opinion. Of course, I'm not advocating that you go out and buy fake watches anyways. But just as a watch on its own merits, I'm somewhat happy with the piece. And, I like the looks of it because I like those snowflake hands and I like the dial. I like the look of a Tudor Black Bay, and I think this one looks really good, and it works really good. So, fakeness, replicaness aside, give the watch as a watch a good review. Give the watch as a replica a not so good review. And this next piece here is something that we unboxed earlier, and it was a modification of an Invicta. It was an Invicta mod that was made to be a homage of a Tudor Black Bay. And this watch was modded by a gentleman who on eBay calls himself Carl San-51. That's KARLSAN-51. And Carl San-51 modded this watch, and he took the Invicta bracelet off of it, and he put a leather, reddish leather strap on it. Put the red metal aluminum bezel on it. He put a sterile dial, the snowflake hands, and he did a good job. The signed Invicta crown is still there, but on this side here, you'll notice that he ground down where it says Invicta, and then he rebrushed. Right here, there is just the littlest bit of a little mark that you may or may not even see on the camera. You definitely wouldn't even see it if I didn't point it out to you. I'm just saying that Carl San-51, he did a great job with this watch. He's outside of the Boston, Massachusetts area, so if you go to eBay, you look up Carl San-51, and you see what watch mods he has for sale. Maybe you might want to buy one, or maybe you may just want to reach out to him and propose a watch mod to him. And, I'm sure that for a reasonable price, he would mod a watch and he would make you something that you'd be very happy with, just as I am very happy with this. In fact, this watch, I've enjoyed wearing it for the last week, and this watch is going to go into my rotation. So this is going to be a watch that I'm going to continue to wear. I'm not just going to toss it in the drawer, never to do anything with it again. I really like this watch a lot, and it's going to go in the rotation. I'm going to be wearing it. I just like the look of the watch, and I've gotten compliments from this watch. Several people during the last week that I was wearing the watch complimented the watch and complimented me on it. And so, anyways, if you want to reach out to Carl San-51, he is in the Boston area, and he'll get in his car, and he will drive to the post office, and he will get something nice in the mail to you if you and he can come to an arrangement. See the Invicta movement there? It appears to be moving well. And this watch, over the course of a week, was losing about 11 seconds a day, which is about average for an Invicta. Normally, you'll gain or lose 10 to 12 seconds a day with most Invictas, and this one lost 11 seconds a day, so it's in the average performance specs of an Invicta. And anyways, we put Carl San-51's eBay information up there on the screen in case you want to get a hold of him. Again, great job. Appreciate you sending this watch to me and giving me the opportunity to review it here on the channel. And I look forward to continuing to wear this watch from time to time for many years to come. All right. I'm on the phone again with Dr. William Von Peters, who has been my personal doctor for the last 10 years. We have a dear lady in our church, Dr. Von, who suffers from Lyme's disease. Is there anything that you could do to help her?
Lyme Quest, and I've had people tell me that the Lyme Quest is the only formula that they've ever found that actually seemed to help them.
What is the secret of Lyme Quest that makes it effective when other treatments people are saying aren't working so well for them?
Basically, what it does, it will cross the blood-brain barrier to be able to get the body so that it can recognize Lyme. Because Lyme's is a spirochete that will basically go into kind of a dormant stage as a cocoon, and then come out periodically to replicate, and then go back dormant again. And so as it's doing this, it gradually destroys the immune system. So what we've done is basically use the homeopathics that deal with the spirochete so that the body will recognize it and get past its camouflage so that it can act against it. And so that the most people will notice an improvement in their symptomology and everything as their immune system becomes stronger and not depleted by the Lyme spirochete. So it's homeopathy, the philosophy is like cures like. And whereas allopathy, which is what the MDs use, is opposite cures. So, if you have something that, for example, if something's too hot, you give something that would cause a heat in the body, and it will tend to dissipate the heat then. Such as coffee on a hot day is an example of that in real life. We don't make, in none of our products do we make medical claims for. It's just to assist the body in healing and being able to heal itself, but we make no medical claims for it.
And so if somebody wants to get LymeQuest, try it for themselves, what do they need to do?
Basically, just go to the website for a company, LifeQuest Formulas, and so that would be www.life, Quest, Quest, Formulas, that's plural, LifeQuestFormulas.com.
All right, LifeQuestFormulas.com, and for our radio listeners who happen to be watching on YouTube, that'll be on the screen as well. You'll want to go to LifeQuest Formulas, and you'll want to check this out, and you'll want to check out some of the other homeopathic products that Dr. Von Peters is offering there as well. There's just one more watch that I want to bring to your attention. This is a watch that I would have bought for myself if not for the fact that I was sent this watch. And so this watch relieves me of my need to purchase what you see on the side of the screen here, which is the Benyar. It's the Benyar Black Bay automatic mechanical wristwatch. It's actually made by Pagani Design, even though it's their Benyar brand. And it's got the Pagani Design movement within it, and it's got the same snowflake hands. It's got the same dial similar to that of the Tudor Black Bay. 58 there with the square markers and so forth. Anyways, this is a beautiful watch, and it's about $100 on eBay. You can get it for about $70 if you go over to Amazon, but you have to wait a few weeks to get it from Amazon because it ships differently, I guess. It's not a 2-day Prime deal on Amazon. I just want to bring this to your attention. If you don't have the money for a Black Bay, and you don't want to buy a fake, which we hope you don't want to do, and you don't want to buy the original Black Bay, obviously, because you don't have the money, this could be a good alternative for you as well. Anyways, we're out of time for today's show. But I do appreciate all of you who have blessed me with either the gifts or the loans of watches that I can review. And if you have a watch that you would like reviewed, I would be very happy for you to loan it to me, and I'd be very happy to send it back to you after we do the review. Just reach out to me. The email address is on the screen, poorboyshorologypodcast@aol.com. Next month, we'll have another great show for you. I'll be reviewing the X7 smartwatch. I'll be reviewing the Timex, a Marlin reissue. Might have a couple of other watches that I'll be reviewing as well. Until then, God bless, and I'll talk to you again next month.
The Poor Boys Horology podcast is an ED Media production.